Hey, what is up guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to Gran Turismo 7. It's that time of the week once again when the weekly challenges go ahead and refresh. And well, we're off the back of a fairly couple of stronger weeks. However, this time around it is purely monetary gain and a much shorter week overall. There's nothing that's going to give you too much bother this week and well, you're pretty much going to be quids in. So let's have a look at an overview on what's on offer for this week. As you can see, this is June week 4 and it will end on the 27th of June 2024 at midnight your time, I believe. So in terms of the overall challenges, we have the Japanese Clubman Cup 550 over at Fuji International Speedway. That is going to be a 3-lap race and there is actually weather enabled on that one, so it's a little bit different from what we do typically see. Then we have the return of the World Rally Challenge, this time over at Sardegna Windmills. That is a 5-lap race and that is actually going to have a PP limit set in stone. Then we have the return of these special events. This is going to be the Lamborghini Urus 1 make, which makes a return over at Tokyo Expressway South counterclockwise. That is actually a fairly decent night race overall. Once again, there's going to be around about 4 laps of overall 1 make racing, typical with these special events. Then we have the VGT Trophy over at Deep Forest Raceway Reverse. That is a 7-lap sprint race. And then we finish off with a WTC 700 over at Dragon Trail Gardens Reverse. Not a bad event, but once again it does feature the likes of weather, which could potentially catch you out. In terms of the rewards for this week, well, for completing 1 event it's 100k, 3 events 200k, and 5 events it's 500k. So overall, it's a fair chunk of change in a relatively short amount of time. Some of these events paying out fairly quite decent for just how short overall they are. So let's head over to event number 1 for the week. This is the Japanese Clubman Cup 550 over at Fuji International Speedway. A 3-lap race with weather enabled, so just be aware of that. However, I didn't have any troubles at all. It's a bit of a strange one and a little bit different from what we do typically see for the first event of the week. So with this being an event aimed at 550 PP rated vehicles, that's exactly what I'm going to do. I will do that throughout all of these weekly challenge races and I'll also be running them on the hardest difficulty. So I'm purposely trying to make it as difficult as I realistically can for myself. Now in terms of the weather itself, you may notice that the weather radar is pretty much fully blue. Now it does seem to signal that there is going to be rain with the fact that the windscreen wipers are on all of these cars and the track does seem slightly greasy. However, I did notice that in terms of the bottom left and the weather radar itself, there was never actually any proper rain coming in, so it just seems to be able to sort of catch you out in terms of that. Overall though, temperatures and such like that fairly low and the track can become a little bit awkward to run. Again, like I mentioned, it's fairly quite greasy out there. You may notice that the AIs might be all over the place as well, so if you're aiming for that clean race bonus, just be sure to give them plenty of room and not kind of overdo it and end up completely butchering that clean race bonus. Now in terms of the AI themselves, the majority of them are fairly easy. They are relatively spread out from one another. You'll notice that they're in sort of packs, so you'll go from maybe 2 or 3 cars to then down the line another 5 seconds up the road is going to be another 2 to 3 cars, so there's a fair amount of spread through them. Majority of them are relatively easy to get overtaken though. The only car that may cause you a few issues does seem to be that Nissan 350Z, which is just way out in front and way more powerful than anything else that's actually racing at this point in time. So just be aware that that car might be able to outrun you if you're aiming in that 550 PP range like I am. And in terms of the AI itself, it does seem much stronger than the rest of them. However, you should still be able to make relatively short work of them even on the higher difficulties, and a car that is matching that PP recommendation range. In the end, we come out with an almost 2-second lead as we cross the line after 3 laps. The event number 1 done and dusted, so let's have a look what our reward is for this one. 30,000 credits with the clean race bonus, or equal to 10k a lap, and 100,000 credits on top of that one as a weekly ticket reward. So let's move on to event number 2. This is the World Rally Challenge. Now, of course, we're not going to get a event ticket or anything like that for completing this one. But of course, if we're going for all 5 events, we pretty much have to do it. Over at Sardegna Windmills, this is going to have an actual specific PP limit in place. So it is set in stone at 700 PP. However, that is allowing a lot of customization for these cars. You can pretty much strap turbochargers, anything you want on, and make this event very, very easy. The AI off-road of almost always inconsistent, so you may notice that they'll either spin out or they'll just fly off into the barrier, or they'll just be very, very slow, taking big braking zones when they realistically shouldn't be. In terms of the car we've got here, I have a bog standard Group B GTR. There is no upgrades on this. It's just a change of, tires. So we're on the dirt compound, which you must run here because that lowers the PP so low. Again, as mentioned, if you really want to cheese this event, slap a massive turbocharger on and you will pretty much absolutely hammer the AI. The majority of the AI here does not seem to be running any types of upgrades whatsoever to bring them towards that 700 PP range. The only car that may give you a bit of a run for your money will probably be the Quattro, but again, because the AI is so inconsistent throughout this race, you should be able to get that lead and keep it and maintain it for the rest of the race very, very easily. So whilst there is challenge in the name of this event, it really isn't that challenging whatsoever. So there we go, we've moved into the lead. As you can see, the AI is whacking itself off, and then we're going to come and cross the line after 5 laps very, very easily with a fair chunky lead as well over the rest of the grid. Tick number 2 for the week in terms of the bonus here, it is a 50% on top of 65k, which is going to take you upwards of 100,000 credits. However, just know it's very, very difficult to actually get that bonus there. Next up, we have the return of the special event, which is the Lamborghini Urus 1 make, this time over at Tokyo Expressway South counterclockwise. This is going to be a 4-lap race, of course, with only being able to use the Lamborghini Urus. Now, in terms of the AI, there is a few upgraded cars here, so just be aware of that. In terms of first place, it's going to be 90,000 credits. Put your clean race bonus on. It's a fair paying event for the time it's going to take. BOP off, must be a garage car, car settings are allowed, no penalties on whatsoever. Now, in terms of this build that I'm using here, this is actually my 600 PP build that I use for Tokyo with the Lamborghini. This works absolutely perfectly, so if you did copy that one from that video, then in reality you're pretty much quids in. You should get this one done and dusted nice and easy. Now, it is built for straight line speed, so in reality that's where most of my overtakes are going to be taking place. With this being such a big and bulky car as well, and the Tokyo Expressway layout getting very, very narrow at times, I would, in all honesty, if you want to go for that clean race bonus, just be aware of where you're going to be doing your overtakes. Really, that's all I can say about getting the lead here. The AI themselves aren't too difficult. They're rather quite spread out though. Whilst they're not necessarily in sort of groupings that you do typically see with these events, they're more sort of one car then the next car. You might sometimes see a couple of them together. As you can see here, we're on lap 2 going down the inside of a group of cars, or a couple of cars, whatever you want to call them. So the majority of them are fairly quite spread out from one to the next. In terms of taking the lead though, just be aware that these are fairly big and powerful cars, so if you're not going for a speed build, you might have a bit of a rough time here on the main straights and be pulled away on by the AI quite a bit. So again, just be aware, just time those overtakes because of how big and bulky the car is. Don't expect to have any ridiculous handling on it. Again, it's a very, very heavy car, so again, even with the weight reduction, it's going to be quite weighty through the corners. But in reality, you should get this one done and dusted with relative ease. I don't see too many people, that are going to be having much of a problem here. However, that is tick number 3 for the week. 135,000 credits with that clean race bonus does pay out fairly quite well. And that is also going to reward us with our daily marathon, which unfortunately this time was a 4-star roulette ticket. Probably going to give us probably 10 to 30k at most. And we do obviously get the 200,000 credits on top of it for completing 3 of the 5 events for this week. Let's move on next to the Vision Gran Turismo trophy. This one is over at Deep Forest Raceway Reverse. I would certainly say when it comes to the VGT Trophy events, this is the easiest one of all of them. In all honesty, I don't think you'll ever have an issue here. The AI just seem to be extremely weak. Now, there is a PP limit cap here set at 850. However, that will allow some very extremely fast cars to take part in this event. And because there is so much variety in the AI, ranging from very slow VGTs up to some pretty quick ones, the majority of the vehicles that are on offer here are mainly of the slower, more average variety. So I'll probably expect you to overtake the majority of the field in either lap 1 or lap 2. There really isn't too much trouble that you're going to have with the AI here, apart from maybe one car specifically, which does seem to be much quicker than anything else on offer. That 850 pp limit, very generous. As you can see, we're going over the line to go into lap 2, and we're already up to P5, and we've got the gap to the leader down to 14 seconds. However, in terms of that leading car, it is much quicker than anything else we're seeing here on track. Again, most of these cars are fairly quite average, and even in some of the more average to maybe a little touch quicker VGT cars, you'll probably make short work of them. Now, in terms of the leading AI, it is the Porsche VGT. Just note that thing is extremely quick in a straight line, so don't be surprised if it does manage to jump you or keep up with you there. However, when you get to the more tight and twisty sections, the AI very inconsistent and will hold back and start braking at some rather random times, so just expect that. So that is going to be tick number 4 for the week. Now, in terms of VGT Trophy, it does pay out relatively well, 121,500 credits in around about 10 minutes, so not too bad at all. Let's move on to the final event of the week. This is the WTC 700 over at Dragon Trail Gardens Reverse, of course aiming for Group 4 cars around 700 pp. Again, it is set in stone here. It's the same settings that are basically in place for the Le Mans grind as well. Now, in terms of the track we have here, it is weather enabled, so you will need to keep an eye on that. So I do recommend just bring a set of intermediates just in case. It doesn't seem to be as too set in stone as the likes of Le Mans, where it pretty much will rain every single time. However, there is a chance it will start dulling up and start passing over. So if you start seeing the skies and the track get a little bit grey and a little bit miserable, just check the weather radar, see if you've got any rain coming in. Again, it might hold around or it might just quickly pass over. It's not really too set in stone here. Now, in terms of the AI, again, they're not too bad. There's a kind of big spread between them. However, as you can see, very stupid, very inconsistent. A lot of them were seemingly making errors at that part, you know, sort of chicane part there. Now, in terms of the AI, like I mentioned, there is a big spread between them. The leader and the sort of front running cars do seem to be way ahead of the rest of the bunch. However, we did manage to take the lead on a lap 5. However, this is when our strategy is going to come in. So we're on the softs, we're running the fuel mixers, we're just going to turn it down a notch just to make sure we can get to the end of lap 5. At this point, we're going to fill the car to full, fresh set of softs, and we should be good to go. Now, when I did leave the pits, we did have some pretty heavy rain on the radar, but then all of a sudden it did sort of a 180 and missed the entire track. So we got a little bit of wetness coming on the track, but not too much at all. So again, just monitor that weather radar throughout and you should have everything done and dusted and very much covered with relative ease. So we're doing the early pit stop here. This is going to drop us a little bit down the grid, but don't worry too much if you do start dropping down the order. All of the AI ahead of you will pretty much have the pit. As you can see, by the end of this race, we managed to pull out nearly a 30-second lead, which realistically makes this event very easy. That's going to be tick number 5 of the week. 115,000 credits for this one, a much lower paying event, unfortunately, and much more difficult to get that clean race bonus. However, we do get topped up with 500,000 credits from the final reward of the week. Overall, a very short week, making some decent money in that time. Some very fast and easy credits. So, onto the rewards. We're going to open up our daily driving marathon, which was, of course, the 4-star roulette ticket. Now, in terms of this reward, it is always pretty much a typically low payout, and unfortunately that's exactly what's going to happen. We didn't get the million, we didn't get the 100k, we ended up with 30,000 credits. Now, of course we did. I mean, it's very much reminiscent of what the roulette tickets like to do. Next up, it is just pure credits, so 100,000 credits added to the account, 200,000 credits added to the account, and then of course 500k added to the account. In total, you're probably talking around about anywhere from 40 minutes to 1 hour maximum to get all of these events done, and in that time you can cop yourself way over 1.5 million credits. So really easy this week, much shorter than what we've seen, which probably means next week we'll see the return of the free car reward. As usual, it goes in a form of very weak and then all of a sudden you'll get the best reward possible. So next week I'll return on Friday and we'll probably have much better rewards on offer. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day and a great weekend. I'll see you in the next one. Take care, guys. Peace.